Life does not always go the way we expect. Plans fall apart, doors close, and answers don't always come when we want them to. In those moments, it's easy to feel frustrated, anxious, or even forgotten. The waiting feels endless, the uncertainty overwhelming. But what if the delays, the unanswered prayers, and the unexpected detours were not setbacks, but part of a greater plan unfolding at the perfect time? God's sovereignty is the foundation of our faith. It is the assurance that no matter what happens in our lives or in the world around us, God remains in control. Every event, every moment, every circumstance is under His authority. Nothing surprises Him, nothing confuses Him, and nothing is outside of His power. From the smallest details of our daily lives to the grand movements of history, everything is guided by His divine hand. Life is filled with uncertainties. People face trials they never expected, challenges they never saw coming, and setbacks that seem impossible to overcome. In those moments, it is easy to feel as if life is spinning out of control. Worry and fear creep in, whispering doubts into the heart. The world encourages self-reliance, urging people to take matters into their own hands, to force solutions, and to make things happen on their own timeline. But human control is limited, fragile, and often leads to frustration and disappointment. True peace is found in recognizing that God is the one who holds all things together. There are times when life takes unexpected turns. A job is lost, a relationship falls apart, a dream seems to slip away. In those moments, it may feel as if everything is unraveling, as if all hope is gone. But what seems like chaos to us is never chaos to God. He is never caught off guard. He is not reacting to circumstances. He is orchestrating them. Every closed door, every delay, every unexpected twist is part of His greater purpose. Even when things do not make sense, He is working behind the scenes, aligning everything according to His plan. People often wonder why certain things happen the way they do. Why does success seem to come so easily for some while others struggle for years? Why do prayers seem to go unanswered? Why does suffering exist if God is truly in control? These questions can shake a person's faith if they do not understand the nature of divine sovereignty. God sees beyond what human eyes can perceive. He knows the outcome before the beginning. What may look like a setback is often a setup for something greater. What appears to be a disappointment may be a divine redirection. Trusting in God's control does not mean that life will be free from pain or hardship. It does not mean that every moment will be easy, or that every situation will resolve quickly. It means believing that even in the hardest moments, there is a purpose. It means resting in the truth that God is not absent in suffering. He is present, guiding, and strengthening those who rely on Him. The trials of life are not evidence of His absence, but of His refining work. Just as fire purifies gold, challenges shape and prepare people for what lies ahead. When a person acknowledges that God is in control, fear begins to lose its grip. Worry fades in the presence of trust. Anxiety is replaced with peace. Instead of striving to manipulate circumstances, a person can rest in the knowledge that God is already at work. It does not mean sitting idly by and doing nothing. It means moving forward with faith, knowing that God is leading the way. Decisions are made not out of desperation, but out of wisdom. Actions are taken not in fear, but in confidence. When the road ahead is unclear, faith becomes a choice to believe that God's plan is unfolding, even when it is not visible. A choice to surrender control and trust that He knows what is best. A choice to stop fighting against the unknown, and instead lean into the one who knows all things. It is not always easy. There will be moments of doubt, times when questions arise, and days when patience wears thin. But God is not just in control of the big moments. He is in control of every detail. The timing, the process, the outcome, all of it is held in His hand. History has shown time and time again that God is faithful. People may not always understand His ways, but they can trust His heart. Looking back, many can see how He was working all along, even when they could not see it at the time. What once seemed like an impossible situation turned into a testimony of His faithfulness. What once felt like a detour was actually the best path all along. His control is not just about managing circumstances. It is about leading people into the fullness of His plan. Surrendering to His sovereignty is not a sign of weakness. It is the ultimate act of faith. It is an acknowledgement that human limitations cannot compare to divine wisdom. It is choosing to believe that no matter what happens, God is still on the throne. He is still working. He is still in control. Waiting is one of the hardest things a person can experience. It tests patience, challenges faith, and often brings uncertainty. In a world where everything moves fast, waiting can feel like an unbearable burden. People want instant results, immediate answers, and quick solutions to their problems. When things don't happen on their schedule, frustration sets in, doubt begins to whisper, and questions arise. Why is this taking so long? Has God forgotten me? Is anything ever going to change? These thoughts can consume the mind, making waiting feel like an endless struggle. There are moments in life when it feels as if time is standing still. The job opportunity hasn't come. The breakthrough hasn't happened. The prayer hasn't been answered. Doors remain closed. And no matter how hard a person tries, nothing seems to move forward. It's easy to feel helpless, lost in a cycle of waiting, with no clear end in sight. The longer the wait, the harder it becomes to hold on to hope. Every delay feels like a setback, and the silence can be overwhelming. But just because something isn't happening now, doesn't mean it never will. Waiting often feels like wasted time, but in reality, it is a season of preparation. It is a time when character is shaped, faith is strengthened, and trust is deepened. A person may think they are ready for what they are asking for, but waiting reveals whether they truly are. Patience is developed in the waiting. Strength is built in the waiting. Endurance grows in the waiting. It is in these moments that a person learns to rely not on their own strength, but on something greater. If everything came easily and instantly, there would be no need for faith. Waiting teaches dependence, shaping the heart in ways that no shortcut ever could. There is a purpose behind every delay, even if it's not immediately visible. Sometimes, things are not happening because the timing isn't right. What seems like an unanswered prayer could be divine protection. What appears to be a delay could be a setup for something far better. If a door isn't opening, it may be because the right one hasn't arrived yet. If a situation isn't changing, it could be because there is still something to learn. Every moment of waiting holds meaning, even when it doesn't make sense. Waiting also exposes the condition of the heart. It reveals whether a person truly trusts in the plan, or only trusts when things go their way. It tests whether faith is rooted in convenience, or in true belief. It's easy to trust when everything is unfolding smoothly, but faith is proven in the waiting. Do doubts take over, or does trust remain steady? Does frustration lead to giving up, or does patience grow stronger? These questions become clear in seasons of waiting. The struggle of waiting often comes from a desire for control. People want to dictate the timing of their lives, deciding when things should happen and how they should unfold. But no matter how much effort is put in, some things remain beyond human control. No amount of worry can speed up the process. No amount of anxiety can force something to happen before its time. Letting go of control is one of the hardest yet most freeing things a person can do. It shifts the focus from striving to trusting, from frustration to peace. There will always be moments when waiting feels unbearable, when patience runs thin and doubts grow louder. In those times, it's important to remember that waiting is never wasted. Every moment is shaping something within. Every delay has a purpose. Even when it feels like nothing is happening, something is. Growth is taking place. Strength is being built. The future is being prepared. Waiting is not about standing still. It's about being molded into the person who will be ready when the time finally comes. Waiting for something can feel like walking through an endless desert with no sign of water in sight. It is frustrating, discouraging, and often lonely. When prayers go unanswered and hopes remain unfulfilled, it is easy to believe that the delay is a denial. Doubt begins to creep in, whispering that the door has been shut permanently. But just because something hasn't happened yet, does not mean it never will. A delay is not a rejection. It is often a time of preparation, alignment, and unseen movement. What may seem like silence or inactivity is often a season where things are being arranged in ways that cannot yet be understood. Life is filled with moments of waiting, waiting for a breakthrough, waiting for a relationship to be restored, waiting for an opportunity, waiting for healing. The longer the wait, the harder it becomes to hold on to hope. It is natural to question why things are taking so long, and to wonder if the answer will ever come. But waiting is not a sign of being forgotten. It is often a sign that something greater is being prepared. Just because a door has not opened yet does not mean it never will. Sometimes the delay is necessary because what is on the other side requires more growth, more wisdom, or more readiness. When a delay happens, it is easy to grow impatient and try to force things to happen. Rushing ahead without waiting for the right time can lead to unnecessary struggles. A fruit picked before it is ripe may look ready on the outside but will lack the sweetness it was meant to have. In the same way, things that are forced before their proper time may not bring the fulfillment that was expected. Impatience often leads to regret, while trust leads to the right outcome at the right moment. There is a reason for the waiting, even when it is not immediately clear. During delays, it is tempting to compare personal timelines with those of others. Watching friends, family members, or colleagues move forward while feeling stuck can be discouraging. It may seem like everyone else is progressing while nothing is changing, but each person's journey is unique. Just because someone else has received their answer does not mean the same timing is right for everyone. The path that has been set is specific to each individual, and comparison only leads to unnecessary frustration. Focusing on another person's timing can cause someone to miss the beauty of their own process. Doubt can be one of the biggest struggles during a season of waiting. Thoughts begin to arise. Maybe this isn't meant to be, or maybe I misheard or misunderstood. When things take longer than expected, it is easy to let fear take over. But delays are not a sign that hope should be abandoned. They are often a test of trust and endurance. The question is not just about whether something will happen, but whether faith remains strong even when there is no visible sign of progress. Trusting during the waiting period is one of the hardest yet most important parts of the journey. Growth happens in the waiting. Delays are not just about time passing, they are about transformation. What is being developed in the waiting season is often just as important as the thing that is being waited for. Strength, patience, wisdom, and endurance are built during these times. If everything happened instantly, there would be no room for growth, no deepening of character, and no strengthening of faith. Many times people think they are ready for something when in reality they need more preparation. The delay is not a punishment but a process of refining, shaping, and equipping. Looking back, there are often moments when the delays that once seemed frustrating now make perfect sense. What once felt like an unbearable weight is later seen as necessary. The relationships, opportunities, and situations that didn't work out were not rejections but redirections. The closed doors were not barriers but guidance towards something better. The delays that seemed like obstacles were actually stepping stones leading to the right place at the right time. Trusting this truth makes the waiting easier, knowing that every delay has a purpose beyond what can be seen in the moment. Faith is tested the most in moments of uncertainty. When everything is going well, trusting is easy. There are no doubts, no fears, no questions. But when life takes unexpected turns, when prayers go unanswered, and when the future is unclear, that is when faith is truly challenged. It is in those moments that the choice must be made, whether to trust in what is seen, or to trust in the unseen plan that is still unfolding. Believing without seeing requires courage, and trusting without knowing the outcome takes strength. Uncertainty can be unsettling. People like to feel in control, to know what is coming next, and to have a clear path laid out before them. When things don't go as expected, when plans fall apart, or when life feels unpredictable, it can be uncomfortable. The mind naturally looks for answers, searching for solutions to make sense of the unknown. Fear often creeps in, filling the empty spaces where certainty used to be. But fear and faith cannot coexist. One will always overpower the other. The more space fear is given, the less room there is for faith to grow. Trusting in the unknown means letting go of the need to have all the answers. It means believing that even when things don't make sense, they are still part of a greater plan. There will be moments when nothing seems to be working out, when every effort feels wasted, and when hope starts to fade. But faith is not based on circumstances. It is not dependent on things going right or on seeing immediate results. It is a choice to believe that there is something beyond what can be seen, something greater at work behind the scenes. Waiting in uncertainty can feel exhausting. The mind begins to wonder if the right decisions are being made, if something was missed along the way, or if things will ever change. It is easy to grow restless, to want to take control, and to force things to happen. But taking matters into one's own hands often leads to unnecessary struggles. The right path cannot be rushed. Timing cannot be forced. Trusting means surrendering control, even when it feels difficult, and allowing things to unfold as they are meant to. Doubt is often loudest in seasons of uncertainty. It whispers questions that shake the foundation of trust. What if this never happens? What if I made a mistake? What if I'm waiting for nothing? These thoughts create anxiety, making the unknown feel even heavier. But doubt does not have to dictate actions. Trust is built when, despite these thoughts, the decision is made to keep believing. Feelings may waver, but trust is not about feelings. It is about holding on to what is true, even when emotions say otherwise. Letting go of the need to control every outcome brings peace. The weight of uncertainty is heavy, but it becomes lighter when it is no longer carried alone. There is freedom in realizing that it is not necessary to have every detail figured out. Taking one step at a time, even when the destination is unclear, is enough. Looking too far ahead can bring unnecessary worry. Focusing on what can be done today, trusting that the rest will fall into place, is how faith is strengthened. Looking back, there will be moments where what once felt uncertain now makes perfect sense. What seemed like delays, disappointments, or obstacles were actually stepping stones leading in the right direction. The times of waiting were not wasted, and the unanswered questions had purpose. Faith in the unknown is not about ignoring reality. It is about choosing to trust even when reality is unclear. It is about believing that even in the uncertainty, there is still a plan unfolding, one step at a time. Even when nothing seems to be happening, things are always moving in ways that cannot be seen. Life often feels like a waiting game, filled with moments where progress appears non-existent. Doors remain closed, prayers seem unanswered, and no visible signs indicate that anything is changing. In those moments, doubt begins to creep in. The human mind often equates silence with inactivity, assuming that if something is not immediately evident, it must not be happening at all. But just because something is not visible, does not mean that nothing is taking place. There is always movement behind the scenes, orchestrating events in ways far beyond human understanding. The process of growth is rarely obvious. While it is happening, a seed planted in the ground does not sprout immediately. It stays buried beneath the soil, hidden from sight, while vital work is being done beneath the surface. The roots grow deep before any visible sign of life appears above the ground. If someone were to judge the progress of the seed too soon, they might assume nothing is happening. But time reveals what was hidden all along. Life was forming, strengthening, and preparing to emerge at the right moment. Waiting can feel endless. When there is no sign of change, it is easy to feel forgotten or overlooked. Frustration grows as time passes, and patience begins to wear thin. Questions arise and doubts settle in. It becomes tempting to take control, to force things to happen, rather than trust that they are unfolding as they should. But stepping ahead of the right timing can lead to struggles that could have been avoided. There is a reason things happen when they do, even when that reason is not yet clear. Sometimes delays happen because something better is being prepared. A door that remains closed today may lead to something far greater tomorrow. What looks like a setback may actually be a setup for something beyond what was imagined. The disappointment of waiting often fades in comparison to the joy of seeing things come together in ways that could not have been planned. Looking back, many people realize that had things happened when they wanted them to, they would not have been ready. The delays were not meant to harm, but to prepare. The hardest part of unseen work is trusting that it is happening. The human tendency is to look for proof, to seek reassurance that things are moving forward. But faith is not based on what can be seen. It is based on trust that things are working out, even when there is no visible evidence. A person does not stop believing in the sun just because it is hidden behind the clouds. It is still there, shining just as brightly as before, even when it cannot be seen. In the same way, unseen work is still happening, even when it feels like nothing is changing. It is often in the quiet, hidden moments that the most important transformations take place. Strength is built, patience is developed, and character is refined. If everything happened instantly, there would be no growth, no deepening of trust, and no strengthening of endurance. The unseen work is just as important as the final outcome. It is in these moments that true faith is tested, not when things are obvious and clear, but when everything is uncertain. Holding on during these times, continuing to believe despite the silence, is what strengthens trust. Time often reveals the purpose of waiting. What once seemed like an unnecessary delay begins to make sense. The pieces fall into place, and what was once confusing becomes clear. The unseen work that felt endless was never wasted. Every moment was shaping something greater, preparing things for the right time. The waiting, the delays, the quiet moments, all of it was part of a process that was never truly still. Looking back, it becomes evident that things were never stagnant. They were always moving, always unfolding, always working together in ways that could not be seen at the time. Peace is often thought of as the absence of problems, but true peace is something much deeper. It is not dependent on circumstances, nor is it something that comes and goes based on what is happening in life. Real peace remains even when everything else feels uncertain. It is the calm that exists in the middle of a storm, the stillness that stays when the world seems chaotic. It is not the result of perfect conditions, but the result of trust in something greater than the situation at hand. Life is unpredictable. One moment, everything seems to be going well, and the next, unexpected challenges arise. The future is unknown, and no one can fully control what will happen next. People spend much of their time trying to find security in things that are temporary. Success, relationships, financial stability, or personal achievements. These things may bring comfort for a time, but they are not permanent. When they shift or change, anxiety often follows. Holding on to peace means learning to trust, even when things do not go according to plan. It means resting in the assurance that no matter what happens, there is a greater purpose unfolding. Fear is one of the biggest threats to peace. It creeps in quietly, filling the mind with doubts and worst-case scenarios. It convinces people that they need to figure everything out on their own, that they must control every detail of their lives to avoid failure or disappointment. But fear and peace cannot exist together. One will always overpower the other. Giving in to fear leads to stress and anxiety, while choosing to trust allows peace to take root. It does not mean ignoring problems, or pretending everything is fine when it is not. It means facing each challenge with the confidence that no matter how uncertain things may look, everything is being worked out for good. Patience plays a significant role in maintaining peace. The waiting seasons of life can feel frustrating, and it is easy to grow restless when things are not moving as quickly as expected. Impatience leads to worry and unnecessary stress, while patience allows space for peace to grow. Trusting in the timing of each event removes the need to rush ahead, force outcomes, or constantly question why things are not happening yet. Holding on to peace means embracing patience, even when the path ahead is unclear. Letting go of control is one of the hardest yet most necessary steps in finding true peace. People like to feel in charge of their lives, making plans and setting timelines for how things should unfold. When situations do not align with personal expectations, frustration often follows. But peace is found in surrendering the need to control every detail. It is the understanding that not everything is meant to be figured out right away, and that some answers only come with time. Releasing control does not mean giving up. It means trusting that things will fall into place exactly when they are meant to. Daily life is filled with distractions that try to steal peace. Worries about the future, stress from responsibilities, and comparisons to others can all create an internal sense of restlessness. Choosing peace requires being intentional about what thoughts are given space in the mind. Dwelling on uncertainty and fear will only magnify them, but focusing on trust and gratitude allows peace to take root. It is not about ignoring reality, but about choosing to see things through a perspective of faith rather than fear. Looking back, there are always moments when peace made all the difference. Times when things were uncertain, yet a sense of calm remained. Times when everything seemed to be falling apart, yet there was still hope. Peace is not found in a perfect life, but in the ability to trust even in the midst of life's imperfections. It is knowing that no matter what changes, there is something constant to hold on to. Every challenge faced with peace becomes a testimony of trust, showing that even in the hardest moments, peace was always available. Trusting the timing of every moment in life is not always easy, but it is always necessary. Even when things feel uncertain, when prayers seem unanswered, and when waiting seems endless, there is a purpose behind it all. Delays are not denials. Unseen work is always happening, and the process of waiting builds strength, patience, and trust. Every season of life, whether clear or uncertain, is shaping something greater. Peace is found not in having all the answers, but in knowing that everything is unfolding exactly as it should. Looking back, it becomes clear that every moment, both the waiting and the breakthroughs, was leading to something better than imagined. Trusting in the unseen plan brings hope, and resting in that trust brings peace that cannot be shaken.